Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the next episode of BowlerX, the live edition of BowlerX. It's episode 7. Unfortunately, I don't have my producer here, so I don't have any music. Like, I couldn't lead you in with any music like we normally do, which is a little disappointing. But I guess I probably could have tried to figure out how to do that, but I didn't quite figure it out in time. So this isn't my program. I don't really know what the heck I'm doing other than talking into a microphone and into a camera. So we're going to kind of just wing it as much as we can. We notice that actually the best shows that we have are when we can just wing it, just kind of go and just talk, just chat. And so that's why one of my only guests tonight is a really good friend of mine who owns and operates a pro shop of his own. He's going to come in and kind of help guide this a little bit. We're going to chat a little bit about bowling. We're going to chat a little bit about a lot of the different things that are going on in the world with bowling, kind of see where things are headed, and maybe even bring in some topics a little bit about tournament bowling, what to expect there, what we're seeing out of tournaments that are running now. But we're going to go ahead and we're just going to get in this. I don't have Lee tonight. Lee is, because his bowling shop, his pro shop actually is able to be open now. He is currently running his pro shop over in Bethlehem, PA at BowlerX, the actual pro shop, the physical location. So obviously we always have BowlerX.com open. It's open all the time. But he is now actually going to be working on Tuesday nights. So I'm going to be pretty much on my own for these shows other than the guests that I bring in. Maybe I can get Mason to come in a little bit more often, but that's who we're bringing in. So let's see if we go ahead and get Mason to pop up here. What's up, Mason? What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing good, Jay. What's going on, man?
You know, just living the dream, trying to get through this stuff, trying to get back to bowling. That's all I really want to do. I just want to bowl, man. I miss it. I got to tell you.
Same here. Same here. I can't say that I'm fiended out about bowling. I can't say that. But I do want to come back in with a better mindset when I go back on the lane. So I think now with the hand is a lot fresher and my brain is clear. I'm just open to have – you're right. I'm open to have
no burn.
Right. Everything now is just going to be open to be able to be changed or to be altered. And I'm looking forward to that part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm kind of excited. I'm a little scared at the same time. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm going to go and put my hand in the ball. I haven't put my hand in the ball other than, using it on the training device that we created. I haven't really been able to, I don't know if it's going to fit. Like, I don't know. My fingers feel okay because now we're in summertime. So I think my fingers are a little swelled. So I can fit into the fingers of it, but I don't know if the thumb's going to fit. I'm a little scared. Although I don't really ever see any swelling that much, so I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But, man, I'm a little scared to get back out on the lanes. I'm going to feel like a fish out of water there for a minute. This is probably the second longest break I've ever taken.
You know that the last time I put my hand in the ball was the day we did that quarantine challenge. We did that little bowling thing at Classic. That was the last time I put my hand in the ball. Literally, yeah, I haven't picked up a bowling ball just to hold it or anything. I have not put my hand in a bowling ball since that day. So I'm looking forward to how that's going to feel. What it'll feel like to fall off my hand and everything. I think it's going to fall off for real.
I am looking forward to kicking your butt in those challenges again. That's all I'm looking forward to. I love it, man. Do we have so much fun with that? There's just the competition is just. I mean, people just kind of, they probably see it just as a couple of guys just going out there and just having fun. But I take that seriously. Like, I'm trying to kick your butt, And
Same here.
I'm not trying to hate losing. I don't care what it is. If it's just for fun, if it's for, $1 million, I don't care. I don't want to lose. Like, it's just how it goes.
I feel
that's why sometimes it gets a little intense and we just sit there and talk crap back and forth. So maybe that's what we'll do on Tuesday nights once we get this thing open back up. Tuesday nights we'll dedicate this show to that, and we'll just go live and do that. That'd be pretty sweet. So people can then just see some bowling and stuff.
I might be hanging it off the gutter by then, JR. Shoot, you never know. I might have that 3-board down packed now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe after all this time off, all of a sudden now everything will fall in line and you can play right a 5.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, let me tell you what. Did you see the tournament that Brian Regan ran, that Toledo sweeper, a couple of weeks back?
I didn't know about it. I looked up and I saw everybody went down to the bowl. I thought everybody was going just to go an open bowl because Ohio was open. I didn't know it was a tournament, but I wouldn't have been sharp enough to go. But I heard it's like 160 guys or something.
Yeah, like 168 or something. And he's got another doubles tournament scheduled for Fort Wayne.
I saw that,
and it's like a senior. It's like a over 40, under 40 or something like that.
Okay.
And so shoot, you're almost 40. Soon enough, we're going to be able to do that. But you're getting old. Shoot, I turned 36 Saturday, so I'm getting old myself. But the day I get out of the 30s, I think I'm going to be sad. I mean, I've already lost all my hair. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, screw it, I'm just shaving it. Like literally the other day, I finally said, I'm taking a razor to my head because the stubble is just enough.
I'm gonna be right there with you with this hairline I got, man. My hairline looks like a Nike sign, man. It does.
It is like a crooked.
Yeah, it's a swoosh, man.
There. How do you lose hair on one side of your head and not the other? That's weird.
And what's so bad is I gave it to all my kids. My MJ's got it and my daughter's got it, so it's the trademark.
Those poor kids. So yeah, I mean, so we've got this doubles tournament, and he's got like almost 100 teams signed up for it already. And this thing is, a couple of weeks away still. He's got 100 teams signed up. So I'm a little worried. Like Terry Rohrer asked me to bowl, so I'm like, okay, sure, I'll bowl. But I was kind of expecting that would be already back in the bowling center by now. Especially with the news we just got the other day about this whole thing with the asymptomatic people not being as, I guess you can't catch it from an asymptomatic person as much as what they thought they could at first. I don't know. I didn't read the entire article. WHO came out and they said that the asymptomatic people weren't what were causing all these cases and stuff. So I'm like, well, what in the world are we doing then? Why are we still locked down? I want to go bowl, like, for crying out loud, so. But anyway, so I thought I was going to be able to get back into the bowling center a little bit, maybe a couple of weeks ago at least, where we'd have some practice in by now, but evidently not.
I tell you what I learned from COVID-19 as far as a business aspect is concerned. And I've been kind of talking about it a little bit on my Facebook posts every so often, the differences between the small business and the big businesses. And a lot of these big businesses are using the COVID-19 to kind of be a-holes into a lot of customers with, wear a mask and do this and do that. And it's not necessarily that they want people to be safe. They just use it as a plight to kind of just be negative towards people. And what you find with a lot of big businesses is that they don't know a lot about the product that they sell. They're not able to help you if you want to ask questions about certain things, and you want to go into detail about certain things. Whereas a lot of small businesses, like I've been dealing with a lot of the mom and pop hardware stores and stuff with a lot of home improvement stuff I've been doing around the house. And they can give me more advice on a lot of things, and they don't care about mask and all this other stuff. Of course, they would like for you to wear it when you come in just to be safe. But if you walk in the store without one, they ain't like they trying to run you out with a knife or something like that. They're very welcoming and they're very knowledgeable. So I say all that to say, since that experience, I've been really trying to do a lot of research on how I can be a better pro shop operator and be able to understand the dynamics of the bowling equipment, the sport, the tour, the amateur side, the kids. I've been just trying to figure out different ways to be able to educate people so I can help all aspects of bowlers and be that good small business owner that can do more than just sell bowling balls, do more than just be in the business to sell people things. I want to be able to help people. And same thing you do with your online coaching and one-on-one coaching and things like that. I want to be able to tap into people and be able to help them with all aspects of the sport. And I learned that through this whole COVID-19 situation, because big businesses don't care too much about the customer. You go to Home Depot, instead of the line being outside, now the line is wrapped around the whole store on the inside, because of this whole thing. And they know people are at home and they're doing projects and things like that, but they won't bring in no more staff to help reduce the lines. And it's just a lot, So I took that whole thing to say, I need to do better with my small pro shop business so that people can come to my shop to not only get great equipment and get the things they need, but to walk out with a jewel that they can grow into something else other than just a bowling ball purchase.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good thing, and you're probably one of the very few that are actually paying attention to doing a little bit of research and study a little bit further into this whole thing, taking advantage of the time off to try to become a little bit better. I guarantee you, I know that's what Lee's doing at BowlerX. I mean, we talk about it all the time. He's constantly trying to get better, constantly trying to be a better, not only a business owner, but just a better person overall, to be able to be more personable with all the people he has to deal with. Because with all the online orders and everything, even when something goes wrong, he's got to be the one that's constantly in contact with people to make sure things are taken care of. Same as you. Somebody comes back into the pro shop and they say, hey, this isn't quite right. You got to be able to suck up the pride a little bit at times and be like, oh, all right, well, what do we need to do? How can we fix this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of, some type of people like me, I'm going to look at people and be like, get the heck out of here. So no, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. but yeah, I mean, we got a lot of people in here saying hi. A lot of people glad to see you coming on here with us. So I think we learned that the last time we went live and talked a little bit together. People seem to enjoy.
I've never done this type of live stream before, and I do recognize a lot of the names and stuff on here. I just want to say hello to everybody. I know we all miss bowling. I can't wait to see everybody on the lanes as well as just walking through the bowling alley. And I want to do some things a little bit different. I'm a dad now of 3 kids. I'm getting ready to have a 3rd child, man. So, a lot of the things that I used to do as just getting by, it's got to be a little bit more planned out. So again, it's COVID-19 and even with this whole riot situation and stuff that's going on, there's so many jewels you can take from it so that you can.
You're old.
Yeah. I'm an old man. So I'm just trying to be like with Lee. I'm just trying to be a overall better person, better business owner, better everything.
We're glad there. I think my connection's a little bit slow.
Yeah, it had a little lag to it.
Yeah, I think my connection here is pretty trying to help this thing out. Okay. Can you hear me? You got me still?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Now I don't have it. Okay, now you're back.
I think I'm caught up now. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm caught up now.
Still kind of choppy.
So we got a question here from Alfred. What's the real difference in pin up and pin down? Basically, how shots I'm bowling on, besides probably 5 to 6 tournaments a year. I miss it. Not really sure why. It's this laptop. I'm telling you right now, it's this.
Let me read it then. What's the real difference in pin up and pin down? Basically, house shots I'm bowling on. Besides probably 5 to 6 tournaments a year, I miss it.
If you want to read that.
To guys from Syracuse, New York, but I was proud of myself 2 years ago at USBC at our center, 1822, not bad for an old guy. 60, stay safe, guys. To me, and JR will probably see it a little bit different. For me, pin up and pin down is going to show differences based kind of maybe sometimes off of your positive axis point, and your axis rotation will dictate how the ball will see motion. Because you can get pin down motion with a pin up layout. You can get a ball to start up. It's just all about the distances from your vertical axis line and everything. So just because your pin is up or your pin is down, it still changes your distance from your vertical axis line, which can change how your ball sees the floor. So it doesn't necessarily have to be pinned down in order for it to have a earlier look on the lane. And it don't have to always be pinned up in order to be a longer look down the lane either. It's just all about your positive axis point, your axis rotation. I don't know if JR would agree with me on that, but that's the way I would see it.
Yeah. Let me make sure you can hear me. You got me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, good. All right. So I don't know what's going on here. For some reason, my internet keeps going in and out. The wonderful world of technology, I guess it is. But yeah, when it comes to pin up and pin down, I think there's a little bit of misinformation that generally tends to happen with people in the pro shop world. They like to really push the idea of, pin down is always going to be that earlier motion, pin up is always going to be that longer motion. And I don't know that I would go that far. I think I would more say it's more about it's definitely pin distance from your positive axis, kind of like what you were saying there, because you can lay out a ball basically identical, pin up and pin down, same distance with the same numbers more or less, and they're one's pin up and one's pin down. They're basically going to react the same for the most part. And if anybody paid attention to any of the videos we did before, you have to have some pretty big differences in the layouts to get them to even visually look different. And I know that's a little controversial. Some people don't like to go into that conversation because we're in the technical side of the sport, so a lot of people want to see that quarter-inch difference in a layout, and they want to say I can see the difference, or whatever it may be. But when it comes to pin up and pin down, generally that's the consensus. That's the broad consensus across the board, is they try to say that pin down is going to be a little bit smoother and a little bit earlier than what pin up. For me, I generally will see a little bit earlier with pin down, and if I get my numbers to the right numbers to get it to be pinned down, I'll see it a little bit earlier, but I'll see it sharper down lane, because it forces my pin a little bit further away. Or generally when I go pin down, I'll go further away from my axis when I go pin down. Like you've seen some of my layouts with the 5.5-inch pins, I can get them just under my middle finger, which is like 5.5 with a big third angle, to get that pin to be low. I can get it to be basically earlier but still be strong down lane, rather than the normal close to the axis and then being a big third number, to where it's going to be early and smooth all the way through. So it really depends on the person, I guess. It's going to be it's always going to be from person to person, but the general consensus is exactly like you said. It's going to be either pin down, it's going to be a little bit earlier and smoother; pin up, it's going to be a little bit stronger down lane. Just again, it just depends on the person. But when it comes to layouts and trying to figure out what's best for you, like what do you specifically look for? Like I know you've played a little bit with layouts. We've talked. I always bring Mo into the conversations when it comes to layouts, because he is known as the layout guru. So we try to. We've watched, you and I both have watched a lot of his videos and tried to do a couple different things based on what he said. Have you found specific things that really work for you and things that don't really work for you?
I'm kind of in between. My role has changed a little bit over the years, only because I'm not bowling as much. So every time I go out, I feel like the main thing for me is I need a ball that clears the fronts, because my roll is so low that it wants to read the front part of the lane so fast. But then I get into trouble when I start to throw balls that are a little too shiny and balls that are a little too rough too. So I have an issue with kind of sort of the layout, as well as getting my surface covers correct. And then it can change. I can go the next week to go bowl something else and have a totally different issue, where now all of a sudden I find that I'm loft in the front part of the lane to get my ball to do something down lane. So, but my numbers pretty much stay around between like 5 with the pin, maybe like 5.5, between 5 and 5.5 with the pin. And I might play around with numbers. If I want it to be kind of early and kind of tumble down lane, it might be around a 55. If I want it to be clean and forward on the back end, I'll do something like around 90. And I usually stay with more of the 90s, because I can play more with my hand to get it to kind of fall through the pins the right way. And then I can kind of be a little bit more, just a little bit more natural, and just let the lane take the ball if I have it another way. But my whole thing is, and it kind of goes with what you all talked about on that last video, is if I get my surface right, then I can pretty much get the ball to do what I need it to do, no matter what layout I'm using.
Right. And I think that's one of the big educational things that, I'm really trying to push, is to make sure people understand, the surface of the bowling ball is probably the most important thing. You're going to run into bowling balls that you just don't match up with, core wise or cover wise or combination of both. But you can pretty much get it to do whatever you want by manipulating whatever you want to do with your hand. So.
And I'll take it a step further and say too, that because I've been thinking about this all day as far as us having something to talk about on the live stream tonight. And there's guys that are just either talented and they just don't fall into the pits of what the lanes give you, as far as ball seeing the lanes too early, balls not really finishing down lane. And it's some guys that are just overly talented that they don't even have to think about how to get the ball to hit. And then mentally they understand that at this block of the lane, I'm not going to have 50 or 60 over. I'm not going to have a big block out the gate. So I know I'm going to try to shoot about 190 or 200 out the gate and just stay okay with it. I don't go into panic mode. And I think with a lot of bowlers, when they're out bowling and they're not seeing that ball shape right, the first thing they go to is my layouts aren't right, or I'm throwing the wrong ball, or I got to throw urethane. They go into this state of panic instead of just grinding out certain patterns. Being smart enough to understand I got to grind this out. And then come game 3 or 4 of an 8-game block, when I take that big step left, or I take that 2 or 3 boards left with my eyes or something, now all of a sudden I have shim to the right and I have a little bit of push in the middle. And now all of a sudden my ball's hitting the pocket and I'm going. But if I go into a panic, then I'm going to just be changing balls and trying different things, and I never get in where everybody else is going. So
right.
I say all that to say, as players, we have to be a little bit more mentally prepared, more so than Arsenal prepared.
Right.
You got to be more mental prepared than Arsenal prepared, because there's 2 things that don't change in the bowling arena. No matter where you go in the world, you're going to shoot spares the same way. And no matter where you go in the world, the smartest guy most times is going to win on the lanes. The guy that knows how to just keep a cool head and just make good shots.
Right. Yeah. So two-part question here. First one here from Vincenzo. What would you recommend for a lower speed, high rev player? I'll let you answer that.
Lower speed, high rev. I would say go with something that's definitely cleaner through the front part of the lane, but then you can use like a stronger type pin. So I would say using layouts maybe like around 75 to maybe 90 at the highest, and then maybe drill pins between 4 inches to maybe no more than 4.5. Would you agree with that?
I would say so. Yeah, I think the stronger pin would probably be the better bet, just to try to get the smooth the motion out a little bit. Because I think if you start going with something a little bit too clean and too whippy down lane, especially being a little bit lower speed, higher rev, you're already going to see strong motion off of the friction. So we got to try to delay it a little bit and then make it as smooth as we can. So I think, keeping the stronger layouts will kind of blend the ball out a little bit going down the lane. So I would agree with that. I think that's probably a good bet. Maybe I mean, you could even try like a 2-inch layout or a 1.5-inch pin layout, just because you can. It's going to see the lane quick, but it's going to be that smooth arcing motion all the way down. It's not going to overreact in any part of the lane, and you'll be able to control it. So something to really look into, just something symmetrical there.
I find that a few of my customers I drilled some balls for, and I actually had to replace them because they come in and they say they want balls. They want them to go a lot longer. They want them to go long and be clean on the back end. And in their eye, they're seeing the ball be smooth on the back end. That they're seeing the ball not really be sharp or come off the spot too hard. So what they're actually asking me for is they want their ball to hook early. They want their ball to actually roll early and just be done hooking when it gets out of the arrows almost, and just let the ball just kind of walk into the pins. So you have to kind of understand. It goes again with training your eye to understand what it's seeing, so you can tell yourself what you want. Sometimes a ball that looks like it's not hooking down lane has already hooked early, and sometimes a lot of people like that ball motion and they just don't know how to get it. And instead of going in your shop asking for the guys to make the ball go long, sometimes you want the ball to you actually ask them to drill the ball to hook a little early for you.
Right. And now I forgot what the other question was.
I know you said it was a 2-part question.
Yeah, and I had something lined up because I saw this question. And I had something lined up, and now I can't remember what I had lined up. So we'll just kind of come over here, and we'll just go with this. How many 300s and 800s do you have, and what's your most prestigious tournament win?
For me, I'm probably a little over 100 300s. I'm gonna be honest. I don't count my numbers anymore. 800s, I might be like 80 plus on the 800 side. For me, my most prestigious tournament win, and you would probably think I would say it's the regional tournament, but to me, it's the City Masters tournament. And the reason why I say that is because around that time when I won that tournament, a lot of the great players in Michigan play that tournament. And one of my hurdles I had to get over as a bowler is Dave Ewald. I had to play him in the City Masters every year, and every year I would lose. So not only did I win that tournament, but I had to beat Dave twice in order to win it. So I would have to say that was probably my most prestigious tournament win, was that tournament there.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a you got to beat Ewald twice.
Twice, yeah.
When was this? This was probably.
This was 2012 when I won that.
Right. So yeah, so almost 10 years ago, back when he was actually bowling, because he really hasn't bowled much. So.
And let me also say too, I get guys that have kids and don't bowl a lot as much as they used to. I totally get it. Again, thanking quarantine for this situation too, with being able to be home with my kid. I enjoy being home with MJ and Micah and spending time with them and everything. So I totally get it. I'm totally get it. I have to apologize to a lot of the guys that had kids and stopped bowling. I always ask them, you could do both. It's hard to leave them at the house now. It really is.
It's very tough. Very tough. I keep telling myself, I'm like, I hope this one gets to, excuse you, goodness gracious. I keep saying I can't wait till he gets to the age to where I can kind of take him with me and travel a little bit and go to some tournaments together.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't know how easy it's going to be, because obviously it's tough to concentrate on bowling only when you've got kids there and stuff. So he's trying to wipe me out. He's got a white out thing, and he's trying to wipe me out. He doesn't want me around. So, but we got another one here. Who was your most memorable match against at the Michigan Majors? When we actually used to have Michigan Majors.
Memorable match would probably be, it's a couple guys. I love playing against Dale Hoffmeister. Dale is one of the top guys. Well, definitely he was the top guy in the Michigan Major, so I enjoyed playing him. I enjoyed playing Tom Smallwood. Smallwood was, before he went out on tour, he was the guy to beat too. You guys, you just couldn't. If they had to throw a double in the 10th and they never struck into the 10th frame, they always threw a double in the 10th to beat you if they had a chance to. So definitely Smallwood, definitely Hoffmeister. I bowled. My first title was against Brian Hatcher, another good player from Ohio, used to be here in Michigan. A lot of great players in Michigan that I just think about those times. I'm like, God, when did I sleep? Because I was always bowling back in the day. You know, if it wasn't majors, it was a sweeper. It was mid-states. Then it was the regionals on the weekend. It was just so much to bowl back in the day. You didn't make a lot of money from it, but it kept you competitively just sharp. And it was just a cool thing back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wish there was more going on. Like we had a conversation the other day. I was talking with Brian Regan, you know, trying to think of like how has there not been more events like international events or like the Memorial Day Classic where there's, you know, multiple squads throughout the entire weekend, plus even days that aren't involved, like maybe even Thursday and Friday, and then have the finals on Sunday. Why aren't there more tournaments like that? Because like the Paragon, you know, that was another one where they would run multiple squads and they would get, you know, 300 plus entries in those, and the prize funds are always good in them. And I never understood why more people didn't pick up on trying to do that. I mean, do you think it's is it a bowling center availability thing, or is it just, you know, people just aren't thinking that it's popular doing it that way?
I think a lot of people, I never bowled the Paragon. I've never bowled the Paragon tournament. I always wanted to bowl, but something always came up. I never got a chance to bowl that. But what I always used to hear about the Paragon tournament was they said the prize fund, how it broke down wasn't that good. And they would say you have to win so many matches in order to make money. And I tell you, the biggest thing that's bad about bowling is some of the mindset of the bowlers. A lot of the bowlers they just talk about a lot of stuff instead of just showing up to come and bowl and make it a good thing. And I'm always going to stand on this soapbox and say, in order for bowling to be interesting again, it's got to have bowlers to make it draw interest. You got to start from something. And what Brian Regan has going on, if he could get a consistent number from it, I think he will now since this Corona thing has happened. I think a lot of people now they're going to have to bowl that if they want to bowl. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think leagues are going to get off this year. If they do, they're going to be really, really confusing and weird to people on how they're going to have to run it. Because I've been listening to this other podcast talk about shifts and splitting people bowling on one lane. It's just going to be weird. So the only thing that's left is tournaments, is sweepers and tournaments and stuff, and coming to MRB's Classic Pro Shop to get lessons and practicing. So you can practice all week and then you can bowl on the weekends type thing. But all tournaments need bowlers just to show up and participate and take something from it. And the sport of bowling will rejuvenate itself when people want to start to develop the mindset. Everybody can throw. Well, I'm not going to say everybody because I hate when people say that too. People are capable of shooting 300 and having a good night in league, but every bowler wants to be 10% better than they were the day before. Everybody does. So the only way for that to happen is that bowlers have got to develop the mindset. The mindset has to be different. Golfers and tennis players and all of these other sports that flourish so well is because they're always trying to strategically get better because they can only do so much physically. We could only, me and you, we're the older guys bowling now. So we have to outthink some of these young kids on the lane that have the power and the rev rate and can jump over potholes that our bowling balls see. But what we're smart enough to do is wait out certain games.
What are you talking about, Mr. 560 or whatever your stupid rev rate is?
Yeah, 560, and I'm throwing the ball 17 miles per hour. So guess what the lane sees? Guess what my ball sees all the time now? Potholes. So I have to strategically be smart on how I play the lanes and what I'm using too. You know, I have to understand we're bowling 2 games on this pair, so I can't break down the sweep part of the lane because I need it for 2 games. I have to be strategic. And I think that's where bowling has to go in order for it to elevate, is bowlers have to want to change their mindset as they enter into the competition. Even in league, I want to shoot 800 every night I bowl league. And it's not that because I'm bowling on a house shot. It's strategically I have to break this floor down so I can have 260 every game. And it's possible. I used to have conversations with Trisha when we used to date back in the day. And she used to always say, 900, you got to be so lucky to shoot 900. And I say, well, if you really bear down and pay attention to everything, it's possible. It's very, very possible to shoot 900. But you have to pay attention to everything, and you have to just be locked in. And you got to get some breaks every now and then. But if you really pay attention to what's going on and you mentally are locked in on what's going on and you know how to make the moves properly, you can shoot 900. It can happen.
I mean, yeah, it can definitely happen. It's happened how many times now? We're at 30 some odd times now, I think it is.
Yeah.
Not really sure exact number, but it's happened a lot, So, yeah, I mean, bowling is just one of those weird things. There's just so many things to think about. When it comes to league bowling, I mean, that's another whole different ball game because you've got 10 people on the pair. If you're, in a 10 or 5-man team, you got 10 people on the pair, and they're going to break down quick, and you don't really know what's going to happen, especially when there's that puddle in the middle.
Right.
So it gets a little bit crazy. It's a little bit different than when you're like out on tour. When you're out on tour, it's like, all you're trying to do is pay attention to the few guys you're following, and, paying attention to how much surface they're using for the most part, knowing they're going to break down fast because everybody's got a high rev rate for the most part, but when it comes to league bowling, it's a whole different ball game out there.
Right. It's just a totally different strategy. You have to understand that, what you're getting into, what could possibly happen. I listen to guys talk about the lanes play different, and nobody ever comes into with the mindset that you're playing different players every night when you bowl league. So they keep saying they would rather say the proprietor changed the shot than to realize that the last thing anybody, and I work in a bowl now, I've been working in the one for 20 years. I've been in this business for 20 years. The last thing the proprietor ever wants to do is deal with the pattern. There's no proprietor that wants to deal with the pattern in their house. Once they get a shot, whether it's tight or it's dry, they would rather just stay with it and let the bowlers adapt to it. They would, and I think that's the right way to do things. But the difference is of every night that you go in is the different teams you play against. Your team's going to play a lane a certain way, and then the opposite team's going to play the lane their way. The only thing that's going to probably be the same every time you bowl is how you and your team play. But if you get bowl against another team, it's going to make the shot breakdown different. But if you're not mentally locked into that could possibly happen, you'll blame all the elements around everything instead of saying, I need to make these different adjustments or I need to pay attention to how these guys are playing the floor because I'm going to have to make moves. I have to make some different moves.
Right. Do you have, being in the Detroit area, obviously there's an awful lot of good bowlers. One of your guys here, Alex, send you a little bit of a message if you want to read that. But while you're reading that, if you've got knowing how many good bowlers are in the Detroit area, and you've done a lot of the traveling and a lot of the travel leagues and stuff like that, the All-Star League, all those things. Who is there anybody in the area that if you were bowling against them, you hated bowling against them on their team because you knew they were going to either do something stupid in the lanes or just act a fool?
It's one guy. It's one guy in the city that thinks that he's messing up the lanes when he bowls, and he calls himself Lane Warrior. He thinks that he's messing up the lanes, and let me go on record by saying this. Robert Turner is probably the smartest league bowler bowling league right now. But the problem is that he is trying so hard to be defensive towards everybody that he would rather come in he buys a ton of bowling balls from everybody. He's probably got more bowling balls than Bowler's Mart in his basement that he never throws. But he comes in with these old balls, he sands them down to 30 grit, and he talks all day about how he's going to mess the lanes up for everybody, and he ain't going to have no shot, and this, and that. And I'm really watching him like, if you would just focus on just shoot and just go in and just play your best game, you could average about 260. Okay, I think he's smart enough to do it. And he has the rev rate, the speed, and the work ethic to do it. The problem is that he wants to be the guy that's messing up everybody's day. And so, but to answer your question, I don't have anybody that I don't mind bowling with. I really don't have that issue. Because, again, Brad Angelo said this best, and I'll never forget it. He said the best ball in my bag, well, my best ball I own is my eyeball. So as long as I got good eyes and I can watch what's going on, then I'm going to be able to bowl with just about anybody.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I can't even answer the question because I don't bowl leagues or anything. So there's nothing I can really say about it. But I
can't picture you bowling league. Have you ever bowled league? I can't imagine you bowling league. I don't think you have the patience for it.
I don't. And it's not. I quit bowling league when I realized I pretty much just needed to make a choice. I needed to make a choice on whether I wanted to get better at when they were tougher or if I wanted to get better when they were easier. And at the time when I was making the decision, there was an awful lot of stuff going on. Like there was a lot of like there was the Paragon, there was the Memorial Day tournament. There was a lot of tournaments that were they were on grinds. They were on tough shots. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put my attention into that.
Yeah.
And I just made the decision to not really bowl league. I mean, and I did bowl league for quite some time, especially going through high school and even after high school, before going to college, and even in college, and after going to Saginaw Valley, I bowled a league there with like Aaron Lawrence and some of the guys when we were all at Saginaw, and I had a good time. Like I set the house record out there at one point at 868, and then the next year, Steve Novak actually come back through and he bowls 878 or something on the exact same pair that I was on. So apparently the pair we bowled on was a really good one. And the oddest thing is it was on 31 and 32, which is the N pair. So N pairs can be either good or bad in most places. Most places it's usually bad, but in this place that was actually a good pair. And it was with a motive ball. I was on motive staff at the time. It was with that old, and this was before motive actually got good. And I hate to say that because you don't want to say anybody was ever bad, and I don't think they were bad. They had their niche. They were just good at one thing. And I was able to use this purple QZ1 at the time. And everybody hated it. And I loved it. I mean, it was just clean, and it didn't do much down lane. It just kind of let me control the pattern no matter what it was, and it just kind of let me jam that track area. I could get to that, the modern track area. I don't want anybody else thinking I'm trying to play 5 or 6, but I could play just left of 10 and it would be gold because, obviously very few places put oil right of 10 nowadays, but so anybody that tries to say they play the true track is crazy in my opinion, but
nobody, the track now is 10 and left of 10. If anybody
No, it's not. No, it's not. You cannot tell people that. You can't do it. You're going to have people block you and delete you and get mad at you for saying that because the game has evolved and has changed. So you just can't do it.
Well, yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. All we can do is just try to help people. That's all we can do. I'll tell you guys, for me, whether we're bowling on a house shot or we're bowling on something that's very flat, it's hard for me to play up the lane, like play shots like straight almost. For me, I gotta see left to right with my bowling balls on just about anything I bowl on, and I try to cheat that with surface or a crazy type of layout or something like that. I'll try to get a ball that makes that motion down lane like I'm throwing it straight. But that's one of my weaknesses in my game is I don't play straight lines very well. And I've got a little bit better with it. Ronnie taught me a trick out at a tournament on if I want to play straighter, I need to look left of my target while my feet are right of target and just allow the ball to start off my hand left and then let it fade its way back straight. And now that's a little bit straighter of a line. And that helped me a lot on fresh blocks and stuff because I suck out the gate. You want to beat me, see me on Sunday morning right out the gate when the pattern's fresh. You're gonna dominate me for probably about 3 or 4 games. And then about 5, 6, 7, 8 games, then I'm going to probably have 260 and be close to winning the tournament. So My weakness has always been the fresh when the back ends are sharp and the patterns just doesn't have something to throw into. It doesn't have a pillow for me to throw it into.
Right. Yeah, and I love having these conversations because it always gets me excited to get back into bowling and get back into the competitive side of it. I'm just kind of waiting for that time where I can get back practicing and trying to work on all these things. Because you say, your flaws are, going straighter. Obviously, I feel like like I'm better at going straighter than I am going around the lane. And then over the last couple of years, that's basically all I've worked on was just trying to get better going around the lane. And I think what happened for me personally, and the reason why I saw a little bit of a drop off in some of my performances is because I ended up getting myself caught in between. So I no longer was as good as I was playing straight, and I wasn't still very good playing in. So now I'm caught in that middle ground to where now I got to find some weird trick that I can do in this certain part of the lane in order to even have success until I can either move way left and shut my angles down in the middle of the lane, or move way right and shut my angles down to the right of the lane. So I think if there's anything I'm going to work on is it's going to be going back to what I was good at. I had a lot of success doing what I was doing. I don't understand why I went so far away from it. I get it. Like, Tiger Woods was changing his swing, changing his grip, changing everything, to try to, better his swing to get even better when he was already the number one player in the world. And I guess I kind of had that mentality, there trying to get better. But I think I took it a little too far. I think I went a little bit too far trying to, and I took myself out of my wheelhouse. I got away from what I was good at. And so, it took me, those times when I had the ability to use my what I was really good at, I wasn't really good at it anymore because I took myself out of it. So,
and couple that with the fact that you're not. Couple that with the fact that you're not bowling as much on the road too. So you're trying to fix things on the fly, and whereas we used to use sweepers and like little sweepers and little weekend kick around tournaments as practice sessions to see where you don't really have that anymore. You're really going out for blood every time you go out to go bowl. So you've got to be, that's why I say you can drill a gazillion bowling balls and maybe only one might be close. But if you can mentally get yourself in a place to understand what you see, you've got an edge to where if I just get past where this patch is rough, I can get to the good ground if I just don't panic. If I can just stay in it long enough and I don't go into panic mode and shoot 150 because I got a ball motion that goes right 2 boards one way and it snap hooks 2 boards the other way. If I just stay in the motion and understand what I see, there's a chance I could bail this game out and I can get to the next pair and have it. So that's that. We have to. At this point, and this is for everybody in the audience, we have to be looking at how we can mentally understand bowling. That's where we have to be. And I relate that to the world too, because there's only so much you can physically do with things that you have in your arsenal. There are just certain things now you have to mentally understand what's going on in the world to understand what the next move is going to be. For you personally, not for the whole grand scheme of things, because you can't control what they put out in the lanes. You can't control the ball companies that make the balls. You can't control the formats. You can't control anything. You just have to be mentally prepared for whatever. And if you're the person that's mentally prepared for the world, usually survives.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. For me personally, my issue was, and still to this day is, and I always told myself, I knew this too, and I just for some reason could never get myself to do it. But whenever I could just literally treat every pattern, no matter what I was bowling on, if I just treated it as if I was in a grind, just treat it as if I'm like I don't need to strike a lot. Just go treat it and just make as best shots as I can. Just focus on keeping the ball in front of me. I always bowled the best, and then the scores just happened, but whenever I start looking around at scores and I start, especially out on tour, you start going out there, every tournament you go to, you need 240s, you need 250s, so you're always looking for that ball reaction. And when you start looking for that ball reaction, you start to second guess, you start to make bad decisions and all that, instead of just really going to the basics and just saying, I'm going to do this from here to there. and I'm going to just watch the ball. Whatever it does, and then I'm just going to make my adjustments as needed. And I've always been bad at doing that for some reason. And even when there's been a few times when I was able to get myself mentally prepared, and maybe I just don't spend enough time mentally preparing myself before each tournament. I'm more thinking about all the physical things than anything. But when I was able to finally mentally prepare before an event, it always worked out great. I'd either make the show or I'd, whatever.
Right. Here was my wake up call on tournament play. Is how many times I went to a tournament and I'm surveying the scenery and I'm watching all the bowlers, and like you said, we get caught up in watching scores and players and things of that nature. And you watch the one or two guys that you keep looking up and they keep splitting, or they have an open or something like that. And well, that guy ain't gonna make it. He ain't gonna make it, but his demeanor never changes. And when the smoke clears and they take the top 16, top 24, that guy you thought wasn't bowling nothing was third or top 10. It wasn't even like he barely made the cut. He literally he walked into the cut because every time he looked up, he may have had one or two bad shots, but the rest of the game, he just grinded. And you couldn't, and he's probably throwing something old and the ball he's probably had for years. I always laugh with Adam Barter about this old, I can't think of the ball off the top of my head, but he's got this old ball that's beat to, I can't think of the name of this ball, but he still has this ball. And whenever he pulls it out, he strikes like a DPS worker. He strikes for days with this old ball. So it goes to show it's not always about the guy that has the new ball, the new drilling and all that. It's the guy that just mentally has it together.
And I used to be that guy you were talking about. I'd be bowling mad, feeling like I'm bowling like garbage, and then the next thing you know, I'm qualifying in the top 5.
It used to piss me off. Tournament. Yeah, it used to piss me off.
I know we had that conversation. that was a good 10 years ago.
Yeah, you and Nick Coquinos, man. Y'all was head coaches and y'all couldn't stop winning.
But I lost that mentality somewhere down the road, and I don't understand where. Anthony says it was a hammer sting.
Oh yeah, yep, sure was. Yep.
Yeah. So, DP wants to know if you're going out on tour anytime soon. I know you talked about kids and all that. You gonna bowl any stops?
I'm really thinking about it, honestly, especially with the current state of the world right now, and where everything is going as far as business and stuff is concerned. I'm thinking about it. I've been running every day, trying to get my legs and stuff stronger. I'm going to start doing a little bit of upper body work as well too. But I'm really considering it. My wife's pushing me to do it as well. Financially, I think I can hold my own out there as well too. So whereas before when I was bowling out on tour, it was kind of a money issue a little bit. You got it, having to cash and doing these types of things. I'm not really in that state anymore per se. But I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I think it'd be oh crap, I just pushed the wrong button. I think it'd be a pretty good idea. Not because, I'd enjoy having a travel mate every so often, but I think it would be good because I know we know each other so well. We've had so many conversations over the last year now, that I think we'd be able to benefit each other really well if we were, and that's why, I wanted to bowl doubles with you, and it just didn't work out this past year.
Yeah.
But we know each other so well. I think we could definitely help each other, find each other on different squads, and ball caddy for each other, and really pay attention to what the lanes are giving us, and doing some lane scouting and all that stuff. So that's the advantage that a lot of them have. They have the ball reps that are scouting. Neither one of us technically have those types of ins right now anymore. So we're kind of on our own. That would be kind of cool, I think.
Yeah, so, I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. We've got what do we got here? A couple questions here. Did the video on The Verge? Did you like it? Yeah, I mean, I was okay with it. I think the what was that? That Warrant was my favorite DV8 ball that came out, the DV8 Warrant. But the Verge was okay. Everybody tried to compare it to like the Phase 2. It looked a lot like the Phase 2, but I thought it was earlier and smoother, so I wouldn't quite go there. Again, Phase 2 for me was a lot like the High Road. Mace, I drilled that Phase 2 a couple different times, and I couldn't. It didn't match my eye. I couldn't get it to do what I wanted to do. But everybody in the world loves it. Everybody in the world thinks it's the greatest benchmark piece in the world, and I didn't like it. Not for me anyway. Not for what I was trying to use it for. But same thing with that High Road. We talk about bowling balls that have been out for a long, long time. I drilled 5 or 6 High Roads because everybody loved it, and I hated every single one of them. It was one of those balls for me. So I don't know. It's just sometimes that's the way it goes. Sometimes you just don't match up with the ball. Sometimes you do. But the Verge was a good ball. I mean, everybody likes the Verge. Everybody talks about it still. So I can't wait to actually drill a lot of the new stuff that's coming out, or that already technically has came out that we haven't had a chance to drill and throw because of the lockdowns. So once we can get into the shop and do all that, it's going to be fun to put some videos together and have some competitions and stuff.
I drilled all those new balls before the lockdown, and I don't know what any of them do. I haven't had a chance to throw any of them.
Yeah. Alex got another question for you here. What are some good balls for type of game for his game?
I would like to see you throw a little bit more of the ASIM balls, stuff like the black. Jesus, how long have we been out of bowling? What is that ball called? I was so lost on a bowling ball name right now. But asymmetric balls is what I would like to see you throw, only because those balls I would like to see you control the back end a little bit better with those balls, where when you throw symmetrical balls, they 8-pin a lot for you because they're so continuous down lane. If you can control the motion on the back end, with balls that got mass biases on them, I think that you'll see a lot more score with your game, as well as understanding the transition that's coming. And you won't have to play so far right, too.
Right. Yep, that's cool. Yeah, so to wrap up here, we've only got a couple of minutes left, but we'll wrap it up here. We're just kind of winging this thing, just kind of having conversation, figuring out what we want to talk about, and it always works out. We've been chatting for an hour basically nonstop about bowling because that's what we do. So I'll give you, even though I know this is the the BowlerX channel, obviously everybody needs to head over to BowlerX.com, get everything they can. And when you do buy a ball, go ahead and, if you're in our area, bring it over to MRB Classic Pro Shop and get it drilled from MRB. So you can kind of double dip there, get the ball online and get it drilled by a professional in May. So eventually, whenever we figure out when we can get in there, we were kind of just talking about the lockdowns and the situation, and you said the bowling center by you said they might wait out until the next fall season to open up, huh?
Yeah, what sounds like what Classic is going to probably do is open towards the end of July is what I'm hearing, a little closer to possibly August, only because they want to see what all of these rules and stuff are going to be for the bowling centers and what the trial and error is going to be when everything opens up. They would love to open up, but let's just be honest. Open a bowling center up with only half a capacity is a tough gamble. And for what this COVID is asking for, it's asking for more staff for less revenue that's coming in the door. That's a big risk. But what I can ask for the bowlers to do, though, and this is, I don't care what state you're in or where you're at, please support the bowling centers, not just for league. Go in and get some games in. Don't argue about the price. We got to keep these doors open, and don't go in there looking to get things for free. Bowling centers are closing left and right because the land is worth more than the business itself. So in order for the business owners to want to stay open, they need the bowlers to come in, whether it's the birthday parties, the office parties, or it's our league bowlers coming in once a week just to get some games in, to work on different things that they're weak in their game. So I've got to ask that all bowlers on here, please support the bowling centers in your area. And by going in and just patronizing their centers. I don't care if it's 1 or 2 games a day or 1 or 2 games a week. You know what I'm saying? Just stop in and support your centers. We got to keep these bowling centers open.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And that was one of the things that I said the other day was, we knew that finally restaurants were going to be able to open again. So I was like, just make sure you go and, some of these bowling centers that have restaurants that are available to open, even though you can't go bowl, go eat at their place.
Go
Go
eat,
support
right?
them. Go eat there. Go spend a little bit of money that way because they're hurting. They had to give up basically, the last couple of months of their prime time. And right now it's not as big a deal for most of them because it is summertime and not a lot of people bowl in the summertime. But I think it'll be a little bit different now that places are opening up. I think they're going to see a lot more people bowling just because they miss it. Just look at the numbers you're getting from tournaments and stuff. You're getting people who are, jumping in these tournaments because they just miss the game. They want to be able to bowl. And I think that speaks loudly for what we have coming for bowling. I think this is going to put a little bit of a boost into the tournament bowling. It may not be so great for league bowling, but we've been seeing a little bit of a decline in league bowling over the years anyway. Not that I'm saying that's not a good thing, of course, but we've kind of expected that. So the little bit more decline in league bowling, I think we can make up with, tournaments, putting together sweepers, maybe we put together a couple of sweepers at Classic to try to help them out on certain nights or, whatever it may be. And just kind of get people in the doors that way, because I've heard from quite a few people that they say, I'm just not even going to bowl this year because they don't want to be forced into wearing a mask. They don't want to have to deal with all the, the crap of the social distancing, because that's just not, they don't see it as bowling that way. Right. So I guess I'm going to be interested to see how people are going to go about it. Like we watched the PBA the other night on Saturday. They weren't wearing a mask when bowling. You'd see them put it on in between. And I'm going to be honest, I think it was just more of an etiquette thing. I think they were just doing that for show more than anything. I guarantee none of them were wearing a mask when they were outside by themselves or when they were hanging out with each other. I bet you they weren't. But and it'll be interesting to see it because, like, I mean, now I know when I was going to the stores, let's call it 2 or 3 weeks ago, everybody was wearing a mask because that was when it was fresh. That was when it was new. That was when they first said you need to be wearing a mask. Now I went to the store yesterday and today, more than half of the people in there aren't wearing masks. People are giving up on it quick.
Yeah, same here.
So it's, and I don't blame them. I mean, honestly, we don't know. We still obviously don't really know what we're dealing with because all of these experts, these people who are paid to deal with it, have flip-flopped every other week. At first they said masks work, now they say masks don't, and then they go back and say masks work, you need to be wearing them, and and it's crazy. Asymptomatic, the whole reason we locked down is because they said the asymptomatic people are what we were worried about. We were worried about the people who didn't know they had it, giving it to the the vulnerable, grandma and grandpa and the people who have these issues. We were worried about them giving it off, and now they're saying, well, now those people aren't giving it off to anybody after all. It's like, so what are we even doing? What are we even believing here? We have no idea what to think. What's true? What's not? We have no clue. So I think a lot of people are just gonna kind of wait it out and see what happens. And I think maybe with these riots and stuff, everybody cramming together from them. And maybe that'll be a telltale sign. Are we going to see the numbers spike from that? If we don't, does that mean we don't have to worry about anything? Like, how's I don't really know which way to go about it. So it's going to be interesting to see. Sure.
Not to mention too that a lot of people are they're no matter what they say, people are victimized by this now as far as mentally. They don't know what to believe as far as what they get going out and going into. Like you said, a lot of people don't want to be around other people and stuff, because of what could possibly happen. And I'm not here to say they should or they shouldn't. What I'm here to say is that I'm an advocate for the bowling business. Of course, my business thrives from the bowling business thriving. So, and I just believe that we can get the bowling business back to what it was, especially now that we've been detached from it for almost 3 months. I think everybody wants to come back and get into it and really get into it. Well, I'm saying while your body is open for change, let's open up that mind and open that up for change as well. And I also want to add too, with this COVID-19 thing as well, get that immune system stronger. Get out and get some exercise in and take your vitamins and everything as well too. Like I told you all earlier in the program, I started running, and it was the best thing that I've ever done. It's a challenge for me. A friend of mine challenged. We're doing a 30-mile and 30-day challenge on our Nike app, and I do 2 miles a day, and I love it. You know, it's changed my diet. It changed my intake on what I eat. I'm very, very, you know, I used to pick out on that fast food all the time, all day long, and now I'm scared to put it in my mouth because I don't want it to hinder me from running. You know, I enjoy running like it's bowling now. So I want to get guys to just be more conscious of self. Again, you can only control yourself. So when you're out on the lanes, if you can mentally stay in the fight, chances are you can win. And if your body is strong enough to fight off infections and viruses that are going around, you can stay on the land too. So get out, exercise, take your vitamins, eat right. It's your body's open now for change, and we need to do that. But support your bowling center, support our small pro shop businesses, our brick and mortar places. And if there's anything I can do for you all, I'm located inside of Classic Lanes. My address is 2145 Avon Industrial in Rochester Hills, Michigan. Phone number is 248-702-8137. And that number does go to my cell phone as well. So all my business calls not only go to the shop, but they come to my cell phone too. So if there's anything I can do or JR can do between the two of us, we want to grow the sport, and we've got some big plans for the future as well too. So just hang with us. We want to do something big for bowling, and but we need the bowling businesses to survive. So we need guys to go out and go bowling and push your office parties and your birthday parties into these bowling centers because they can really use the revenue.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, we're gonna shut her down for the night. We appreciate you coming out, Mace. Real quick, obviously, being the BowlerX channel here, we want to make sure you head over to BowlerX.com, get everything you need over there. I believe, let me see if I can put this up here real quick. The live stream 10% discount is the code is XLive, so make sure to head over to BowlerX.com, get yourself 10% off there. Anybody in the local area, obviously, go see MRB Classic Pro Shop, or go order a bowling ball at BowlerX.com and then take it over to MRB. Whatever you want to do there, make sure to head over to BowlerX.com, get all your needs there. But until next time, guys, Mace, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you coming out. We'll do this again real soon. Maybe even on my personal channel, we'll have some different conversation on there, things where we can do, because it's a lot more fun. But anyway, we're out of here. We'll see you guys later. Take care, and we'll see you next week for episode number 8. Take care, guys. We'll see you.
Peace.
What?